I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. Probably came from one of the happiest families in the world. We were poor. We were so poor, the poor people called us poor. We had a home family, we had a community family, the community, and then we had a church family. So we were surrounded by family that was so important in our development. My dad had a stroke, and we literally had to get jobs. We worked full time from the 10th grade. We were already working, but we had to work full time to help support the family.
Reverend Owens was very much involved in the civil rights movement, first as a student at Tennessee State.
That was the only state school in the state of Tennessee that a black person could go to. And I was so happy there, and that was where we started the sit-ins and the marches in Nashville, Tennessee.
What was in my mind, and I had to be very personal about it, was, what should I do if somebody's attacked next to me?
Let me tell you, that was the civil rights walking, talking, and breathing. But it wasn't about entitlement, it was about empowerment.
We knew we were risking our lives. And at that time, in the civil rights movement, they would put you through a test. And that test was a person would do to you everything that could possibly happen to you at a lunch counter. As an example, they would slap you, hit you upside your head, knock you off of a bench. You had to go through that or you could not take a lead part in the civil rights movement.
And there were students who were thrust into it because of the general atmosphere that was growing within the black community, that there must be an end to the inequities and the segregation and the lynchings.
Something has to be a catalyst for change in the lives of students today that are being lost, they're not going to school, or they're getting pregnant young. I look forward to doing something to make a difference in those students' lives. They need to know that somebody cares, rather than pointing to a food stamp office, rather than pointing to welfare. Point them to the opportunity to become great.
He, with great enthusiasm, visited churches all over America and sold them on the advantage of sending their young people to Oral Roberts University.
My husband and I was pastoring in Clarksville, Tennessee, but I really knew Dr. Owens before we ever started pastoring. And Dr. Owens, I call him Bishop sometimes, he would come up through there, and he and my husband was very close. And he was some preacher, he was some organizer.
I knew that there were thousands of black students who needed that bridge, that they could be comfortable with, somebody would love them, care for them, and nurture them through the system and not laugh at them.
Elder Owens would come to my husband's church often. He would come there often. He spoke, gave a dynamic message.
He was getting the young people that couldn't go, he would get up there and talk to them and motivate them, and they would end up letting him bring the young men and women to that college at a low rate.
The potential for making an impact was tremendous, and so I joined the forces with him.
And I said, we really have something. We really have something. We got to name this something. And I thought of that day in the director's of admissions office. I said, would you give these students a chance? And that's how Give Me a Chance Ministry got its name.
And the word actually spread. GMAC became known, not only on campus, but throughout Tulsa, and actually nationally as well, because Oral Roberts, Richard Roberts, featured Bill a lot on their television programs, doing raising funds for the ministry.
He wanted to recruit students that needed it, that needed the education, not that were just the best and brightest according to what the academic standards of the institution were.
He basically had a lot of pastors that supported him in that effort for his, the finances to help the unprivileged children that didn't have it to be able to have the opportunity to go to school and to to further their education.
They helped with tuition, they helped with getting into classes, they helped with registration, they helped with everything. Every facet of student life on campus, GMAC's reach went there.
Bill Owens' effort resulted in an increase in the percentage of African American students from 5% to about 22%.
And he was something special in helping young people. I told him he will always be special because the young people will never forget him. He was something else.
The African American community as a whole, not just being believed that you earned it. We were taught by our parents and our teachers, you must do better. You must do more. You cannot just do enough. And I instill in our students what was instilled in me. You earn it.
Ministers and they had lawyers and doctors, and it's amazing the number of lives that were affected. And so the impact of Reverend Owens' work is large, and I'm very thankful that I had a chance to be involved with him in some small way.
He began to go to legislative policy, and he began to do things not just at the school level, but at the state level and then at the national level.
So as we met more people, we saw the need to expand our base and take in more issues.
We're focusing on the family, we're focusing on education, and we're focusing on issues that concern families, strengthening marriages.
90% of all of our funds and students came from pastors. So when we took on these other issues, instead of one issue, education, when we took on life, we took on a marriage, we just changed the name to the Coalition of African American Pastors.
He's trying to strengthen the family. He's very, very strong on marriage between a man and a woman.
We started working more closely together a few years ago on the marriage issue, and as you probably heard from other folks, Bill's a force of nature, and he was very committed to standing up for marriage. He was very committed to not backing down, and that's what he's done.
And that's the bottom line, is to save the family.
The African American family and community have been under assault from all sides: abortion, single family household, poverty, and a failing education system. And I tell you today that every family in America can't take any more.
The CAAP's organization attempts to keep in focus those issues that are of critical importance now. So he's involved at the cutting edge.
He is trying to get more pastors involved, which are over large congregations, to deal with those three areas, which is life, marriage, and education.
We need to push more, I believe, to get not just black pastors, white pastors, all pastors, really realize and let it crystallize that the same-sex marriage agenda is a game changer for our children and our children's children.
We will support a person who stands for values. It's got to move away from the party line and support people who stand for certain values.
What it really comes down to, are you going to stand for truth? You're going to stand for scripture, reason, natural law, or are you going to be pressured to abandon it?
We need voices that will speak unafraid and tell the truth always.